Okay.
Bien. Good evening. I'm pleased as President of the Women's Committee of the Union Nationale des Avocats to welcome you all to the 6th edition of the Women Leaders of the Bar Day. Bonsoir à toutes et à tous. En tant que présidente du Comité des femmes de l'Union internationale des avocats, j'ai le plaisir de vous accueillir à la 6e édition de la Journée des femmes leaders des barreaux. I'm also pleased and proud to introduce the president of the Union Internationale des Avocats, Carlo Mastelon, who will open this session. Carlo, thank you so much for your continuous support to us and for your availability, as you are always by our side at all our events. Carlo, the floor is yours. La parole est à vous.
Well, thank you. Welcome to all the participants. Bienvenue à tous. And thank you to you, Elizabeth, for this wonderful event. I'm very grateful for you and for everything you do in your capacity as president of the UIA Women's Committee. I'm flattered to be the only man on the panel. I need to remember in my capacity as president of the UIA that our statutes refer at the very beginning of this document to compliance and promotion by the UIA of the principles of non-discrimination and gender equality. You can see that in Article 2 of our statutes, and there are other articles that refer to supporting non-discrimination, equality, and diversity. And I'm very pleased that as a result of the sustainability project, which was launched in New York in February of 2023, the UIA has approved a resolution on sustainability and the role of the legal profession approved by the General Assembly at the Rome Congress in October 2023, and also best sustainability principles for law firms. And of course, as you will imagine, amongst the ESG, the priority amongst these goals as regards social, the S of ESG is diversity and inclusion, inviting law firms to reduce the gender gap, gender position gap, examining how to encourage and facilitate a greater number of female lawyers achieving partnership. The law is there and the UIA is with us. The UIA also has internal sustainability guidelines, which are addressing the issues of non-discrimination, equality, diversity, equity, and inclusion, in particular to ensure that women lawyers, single mothers with small children, and also considering geographical and linguistic diversity when we choose our leaders, when we choose our speakers at our working sessions and seminars and training courses. Now, the law, of course, is there, and it is not necessary for me here to list all the international treaties, the European directive, and other international and national and regional instruments against non-discrimination. The law is there. The problem is implementing these international instruments. And because despite the international instruments and treaties, and in Europe, the European directives, we are nowhere near the objective of a fair, gender-inclusive, safe, equal opportunity and anti-discrimination civil society. Of course, the key word on discrimination against women remains prevention. And this is where we should continue to stand. Awareness campaigns to counter discrimination and violence and promote a fair, inclusive, safe, equal opportunity and anti-discrimination working environment, strengthening the role of the legal profession as a promoter of a culture based on equality and respect for persons, education, strengthening sexuality education, social and emotional competencies, and empathy, and learning how to develop healthy and respectful relations. Prevention means creating an awareness which includes preventing harmful gender stereotypes in order to eradicate the idea of the inferiority of women and the stereotype roles of women and men. We must be there to stand for promoting a culture to ensure that such elements as religion, tradition, honor are not perceived as justifying or giving rise to more lenient treatment of offenses of violence against women or domestic violence. And looking at discrimination within the legal profession, for women lawyers, especially in the private practice, we should disseminate amongst law societies and bar associations and law firms documents, resolutions, policies, codes of conduct, best practices, and awareness campaigns. Now, let me say this. The questions that we will be addressed by the speakers, and we hope to get answers from you, are in essence, in my view, what can an association such as the UIA do to better bridge the gender inequality gap? And what can law societies and bar associations and law firms do to bridge the gender gap? The question remains, will our initiatives be successful? Well, history can help us. Roman Krznaric is spelled Krznaric, Krznaric. He's a social philosopher who has just written a book called History for Tomorrow, Inspiration from the Past for the Future of Humanity. He writes about the powers of ideas to bring change. He unearths fascinating insights and inspiration from the last 1,000 years of world history that could help us confront the most urgent challenges facing humanity in this century. And one of these challenges, of course, is bridging the inequality gap. And Krznaric mentions two examples drawn from history. How Kerala in India, women defied caste, class, and colonialism, and Fintopia, how Finland went from economic backwater to egalitarian showcase. Kerala, I think it's pronounced, in India is frequently singled out as one of the global South's most equal regions, whilst when it comes to the wealthy countries of the global North, the spotlight typically falls on Scandinavia. Finland's history of egalitarianism stretching in a long arc from women's suffrage in 1907 to innovations such as a year 2000 law giving fathers and mothers equal parental leave, continues to provide visionary models for tackling deep inequalities. Yet, despite topping many indicators of equality and well-being, we should still be wary of celebrating Finland as a perfect ideal, because racism, particularly against the immigrant population, is amongst the most prevalent in Europe, and we hurtle towards the ecological uncertainties of the 21st century. The Finns are still buying and burning too much stuff. Their material environmental footprint is the worst in the OECD and 4 times higher than persons in Kerala, India. Now, according to Knowledge, it is the power of social movements that helps for more egalitarian societies and compels governments to distribute resources more frequently, more fairly. The long struggles of social movements, sometimes lasting decades, reveal that equality has to be won and is there for the taking when people standing together for social movements. And women's movements have been crucial in this quest to create more egalitarian societies. They continue to fight on multiple fronts, from those campaigning against gender gap and domestic violence to the Black feminist movement and the women burning their headscarves in Iran. Women similarly play a prominent part in the global ecological movement. So, Knowledge in his book focuses on history of economic inequality and the role of women as agents for change. And as we look towards the future, social activism will increasingly address multiple forms of inequality based on race, gender, sexuality, class, disability, and other forms of discrimination. This will draw in a new generation of disruptive actors who will take their place in the long and distinguished history of anti-oppressive movements stretching back to the peasant rebels who rose up against feudal serfdom in the 14th century. So, social justice is forged in the red heat of collective struggles. Let's conclude with the words of political activist Angela Davis. It is in collectivities that we find reservoirs of hope and optimism. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Carlo. It was really a very important presentation where I covered different subjects related to the rights of women and how to advance the role and status of women in general and about what is concerning us today in the legal profession. And thank you for the questions you raised. The role of women as agents for change. And also what would be the role of the UIA, the UIA, and the rural associations. And this is what we would like to find with this event today and through the different meetings and work we do within this Women's Committee, with your support, of course, and your ideas. And I'd be very grateful if you can post on the Women's Committee page in the website of the UIA this presentation that you have, your presentation, because really it's exhaustive and holistic and covers many issues that should be worked on to promote women's rights. Thank you so much again. And I would like to say one more thing. Yes, we should work against discrimination, and the Women's Committee works against discrimination. I would like to point out that many of our members are men, male lawyers, and this is very important to promote women's rights and work against discrimination, as change cannot be made only by women or by men. They should work together in order to achieve any change whatsoever. So thank you again, and really it was very important what you have said. So, objective that we launched, it's within the framework of this objective that we launched the Women Leaders of the Bar Day, and it became a tradition taking place every year in September, attended by participants from different parts of the world. With our guests, we measure the progress made through the years and identify the obstacles that women lawyers still must face in their career and the challenges that hinder the evolution of the role and status of women in the profession. Unfortunately, despite the progress made, challenges faced by women remain significant, with a negative impact on the development of the profession, a profession which should be an example to follow, a profession where a full and solid partnership between men and women is strongly needed and should be fully implemented. These yearly meetings with outstanding women provide also an opportunity to young lawyers to benefit from the experience of their elders. Listening to leaders of the bar talk about their personal journey contributes to encouraging them to have confidence in their abilities and their trial. She wishes to focus her efforts on promoting the bar in the city and outside the borders, and on improving access to justice. Madame la bâtonnière Christine Chalot, vous êtes la bienvenue avec nous ce soir et la parole est à vous.
Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente. Dear President Carlo Mastelone, dear President Elisabeth Siufi, dear colleagues and dear guests, I'm very honored to participate today to this special Day of Women in International Human Union of Lawyers. Je suis particulièrement heureuse de participer à cette journée pour les droits des femmes et les femmes leaders des barreaux au sein de l'Union internationale des avocats. Je ferai ma présentation à la fois en français et en anglais afin que le maximum de participants puissent suivre mes propos. I will speak in English and in French so that every participant could follow the presentation. So I entitled my presentation. I think Colette will share the screen. Yes. So thank you. So I entitled my presentation Being a Woman Lawyer in French Guyana. So être une avocate en Guyane. I spoke about as woman lawyer in French Guyana, where I spent now 16 years. I'm not from French Guyana. I am from suburbs of Paris. And so I discovered French Guyana 16 years ago, and I adopted this territory. So, je ne suis pas guyanaise d'origine, je suis de la banlieue parisienne, mais voilà, j'ai adopté la Guyane avec de cœur, donc un territoire de cœur depuis maintenant 16 ans. Donc, je vais vous parler de ces territoires. So, first slide, please. So, the first Guyanese woman lawyer in French Guyana. So, this is Hélène Sirdert, so the first Guyanese woman lawyer practicing in French Guyana, the first Guyanese woman. Hélène Sirdert began studying law in Toulouse with the aim of becoming a lawyer. She returned to French Guyana after passing the certificate of aptitude for the professional of lawyer. She was sworn in on 18 January 1978, and she became the first female president of French Guyana Bar Association in 1992 and served 3 terms, 2 of which were consecutive. Hélène Sirdert est la première avocate guyanaise, donc d'origine guyanaise, qui a exercé en Guyane. Elle perpétue la tradition familiale puisque son grand-père et son père étaient avocats. Elle est née à Paris, elle regagne la Guyane avec ses parents en 1957. Sa scolarité se déroule jusqu'à l'obtention du baccalauréat et Hélène Sirdert entamera ensuite des études de droit à Toulouse afin de devenir avocate. Elle rentre au pays après avoir passé le certificat d'aptitude à la profession d'avocat, le CAPA, et donc elle prête serment le 18 janvier 1978. Elle sera la première femme bâtonnier en Guyane en 1992 et effectuera 3 mandats, dont 2 successifs. Il est important de signaler que au sein du barreau de la Guyane s'ensuivra plusieurs bâtonnats de femmes depuis 1992, donc depuis Hélène Sirder. Donc, several terms from women lawyers as president of the bar will be follow the terms of Hélène Sirder. Next slide, please. So, my background before being a lawyer. Mon parcours avant de devenir avocate. After studying international law, I initially turned my attention to humanitarian work. I worked as a human rights observer in Guatemala with witnesses from the Mayan population contributing to the trial of former dictators prosecuted for genocide. As a lawyer, as well for street children in Quito, Ecuador. And then in 2004, I joined the National Court of Asylum in France as a reporter. This experience allowed me to continue my involvement in the humanitarian field by working in 2007 with the High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR, in Tanzania as a resettlement expert. Donc, mon parcours avant de devenir avocate, après des études de droit international, je me suis orientée dans un premier temps vers le monde humanitaire. Je me suis investie ainsi en tant qu'observateur des droits de l'homme au Guatemala auprès des populations mayas qui étaient témoins des procès contre d'anciens dictateurs qui étaient poursuivis pour crimes de génocide dans les années 80. J'ai également, en qualité de juriste, œuvré auprès des enfants des rues à Quito, en Équateur, et ensuite intégré la Cour nationale du droit d'asile à Montreuil en 2004 en tant que rapporteur public. Cette expérience cette expérience auprès de la Cour nationale du droit d'asile m'a ensuite permis de poursuivre mon engagement dans le monde humanitaire en travaillant à partir de 2007 auprès des Nations Unies pour le Haut Commissariat pour les réfugiés en Tanzanie en tant qu'expert en réinstallation. Next slide, please. So I decided to take then the exam to become a solicitor while working at the National Court of Asylum, and I was sworn in on 4th March 2009 in French Guyana. Donc j'ai décidé de passer les examens pour devenir avocate, tout en travaillant à la Cour nationale du droit d'asile, et c'est en Guyane que j'ai prêté serment le 4 mars 2009. My first leadership experiences came as president of the Union of Young Lawyers of the French Guiana Bar Association, an association with which I was able to put my humanitarian touch to good use by initiating the Pirogue du Droit. It's a project which provides access to free legal consultation for isolated populations. Donc, mes premières expériences de leadership se sont concrétisées en tant que présidente de l'Union des jeunes avocats du barreau de la Guyane, association avec laquelle j'ai pu mettre un petit peu ma patte humanitaire en initiant le projet de la pirogue du droit, consistant à donner accès à des consultations gratuites pour les populations isolées qui sont essentiellement situées sur le fleuve du Maroni de la Guyane. Next slide, please. Alors, mon mandat en tant que bâtonnière, my terms as a president of the Bar Association. So the year before I began my term, alongside my work at the firm, I continued my involvement with the Rotary Club of Cayenne, which I shared for the years 2022-2023. This presidency gave me significant experience in leadership, knowing how to lead a team of volunteers, maintain motivation, reconcile differences, and achieve results. Donc, l'année précédant le début de mon mandat, parallèlement aux activités de mon cabinet d'avocat, j'ai poursuivi mon engagement associatif au sein du Rotary Club de Cayenne, club que j'ai présidé pour les années 2022 et 2023. Et cette présidence m'a apporté une expérience non négligeable en termes de leadership, puisque en Guyane, ce qui est important de dire, c'est que nous sommes essentiellement des petits cabinets constitués principalement d'un avocat et de son secrétariat, mais parfois même sans secrétariat, et qu'il était important d'avoir une expérience de management, de team management au sein d'une association pour avoir cette expérience et pour mener notamment un conseil de l'ordre. Donc, savoir diriger une équipe bénévole, hein, parce qu'on n'est pas supérieur hiérarchique, on n'a pas de lien de subordination. Donc, il faut essayer de conserver la motivation et de mener les troupes sans avoir finalement d'autorité, disons, et de subordination directe, et tout en pouvant obtenir des résultats, puisqu'il faut quand même obtenir des résultats dans le cadre de cette direction, et tout ça en conciliant, bien sûr, les divergences entre les uns et les autres, puisqu'il y a toujours des divergences. Next slide, please. Donc, ma feuille de route en tant que bâtonnière, my roadmap as the president of Bar Association, lawyers in the community. I believe it is essential that litigants and understand the role of lawyers within the society. We have therefore made sure that we are there for litigants, particularly the most vulnerable people, such as women who are victims of violence, providing lists of available lawyers, free consultation, raising awareness among young people about sexual violence. Donc, dans ma feuille de route, il était extrêmement important pour moi de mettre en lumière l'avocat au sein de la cité. Donc, pour moi, il est essentiel, hein, effectivement, que le justiciable perçoive le rôle de l'avocat, ce qui n'est pas toujours le cas. Nous avons ainsi fait en sorte d'être présents pour les justiciables, notamment pour les plus vulnérables, comme les femmes victimes de violences. Donc, en mettant en place des listes d'avocats disponibles pour œuvrer au titre de l'aide juridictionnelle. Donc pour les associations, donc disponibles au sein des associations pour justement accélérer le circuit, notamment sur des ordonnances de protection, des consultations gratuites, des actions de sensibilisation également auprès des jeunes et au sein d'établissements scolaires, notamment sur les violences sexuelles pour sensibiliser les jeunes femmes et les jeunes hommes aux violences sexuelles. Next slide, please. Donc, il est en tant que leader dans les conseils, dans les recommandations, ce qui me paraît primordial, c'est d'être à l'écoute de son équipe, to be able to listen his team. As a leader, or rather a conductor, I also wanted to listen to everyone's initiatives and awareness-raising efforts. This is how we launch a major prevention campaign against drug mules, which is those who transport drugs, which is a very big issue in French Guyana, and drug mules which mainly affect young people in French Guyana. With the help of partners, therefore broadcast advertising spots and organize prevention video competition with secondary school pupils. Donc, en tant que leader, ou plutôt, j'ai envie de dire chef d'orchestre, j'ai souhaité aussi être à l'écoute des initiatives et des sensibilisations de chacun. Donc, c'est ainsi que nous avons initié une grande campagne de prévention contre les mules, celles qui transportent de la drogue et qui touchent essentiellement la jeunesse guyanaise, transport de stupéfiants qui est un fléau important en Guyane. Donc, c'est ainsi qu'avec l'aide de partenaires, nous avons diffusé des spots publicitaires de prévention, notamment au départ, avant les grands départs de grandes vacances, pour alerter les parents essentiellement et pour qu'ils ouvrent un œil sur le départ de leurs jeunes. Et nous avons aussi organisé des concours de vidéos de prévention avec les collégiens de Guyane. Next slide, please. So, quel est l'impact en tant que femme bâtonnière, puisqu'on parle des femmes aussi leaders, which impact as a woman lawyer and a president? In a cruel matriarchal society in French Guyana, being a woman and leading the bar is not particularly difficult, which is a chance. So the authority is not really questioned. At no point I have noticed any tension surrounding the fact that I am a woman as a leader. And within our mixed bar, we have already had a fairly balanced number of men and women as president. Donc, dans une société créole, j'ai envie de dire presque matriarcale en Guyane, être une femme et diriger le barreau ne représente pas une difficulté particulière et c'est une réelle chance par rapport à peut-être à d'autres départements de France et d'autres pays. En tout cas, c'est pas quelque chose de choquant d'arriver bâtonnière en Guyane. L'autorité n'est pas contestée du fait d'être une femme et je n'ai pas perçu, et encore une fois, c'est une chance de crispation de ce fait. Donc, d'autant plus qu'aujourd'hui, nous sommes plus ou moins un barreau en quasi-parité. Et nous avons eu quasiment autant de femmes que d'hommes bâtonniers au jour d'aujourd'hui. Next slide, please. So, as a conclusion, I would say that perhaps we bring as a woman a complementary perspective to certain issues, and we can also serve as an inspiration in a society where, in some communities in French Guyana, women still play a backseat. Donc, comme conclusion, je dirais que peut-être nous apportons, en tout cas en Guyane, hein, mais aussi à travers le monde, mais par rapport au fait que le fait d'être une femme ne constitue pas en soi une difficulté. Et donc on apporte quand même, à mon sens, une sensibilité qui est parfois souvent complémentaire par rapport à certaines problématiques, notamment les violences sexuelles, les violences dirigées contre les femmes. Et je pense aussi, notamment pour la Guyane, qu'il est important d'être une femme leader parce que nous pouvons représenter une source d'inspiration par rapport à certaines communautés, puisque la Guyane est constituée de beaucoup de communautés culturelles, ethniques différentes. Et dans certaines sociétés, notamment les sociétés bushinengue, où la place de la femme reste quand même en retrait, avec une vision et un rôle de la femme particulièrement à part, pas forcément intégrée et pas forcément indépendante économiquement, eh bien, c'est vrai que c'est aussi important de voir que des femmes aussi peuvent mener un petit peu des organismes, des grandes structures pour montrer qu'effectivement l'indépendance économique et l'autonomie de la femme n'est pas incompatible finalement avec une femme mère de famille et qui peut aussi diriger son foyer. Donc c'est aussi des actions qui sont menées en Guyane qui sont importantes et qui permet aussi de donner voilà, cette source d'inspiration pour certaines femmes de notre département. Voilà, je vous remercie de votre intention. Thank you for your intention. This was my presentation for you.
Oui, merci beaucoup, Madame la bâtonnière Christine Charlot, bâtonnière de l'Ordre des avocats de la Guyane française. Je voudrais revenir sur deux idées importantes que je retiens de votre présentation qui est très intéressante. D'abord, lorsque vous avez parlé du leadership, what is leadership? And you gave the answer. It's maintaining motivation, reconcile differences, achieve results, and listen to everyone's initiative. C'est tout un programme en soi. Et puis, le fait que vous soyez une société matriarcale qui a aidé à ce que les femmes arrivent facilement à devenir bâtonnières, cela prouve que pour pouvoir développer et faire évoluer le rôle et le statut des femmes dans la profession d'avocat, nous avons besoin de travailler sur les mentalités et sur le comportement. Et c'est ce que nous faisons et nous allons continuer à travailler à ce sujet. Donc, I was saying that based on what you said regarding access of women to being leader in the bar was based on the kind of society that you have. And this joins what we always say is that to advance women's role and status in the legal profession and in all kinds of professions, we need to work on changing mentalities and changing behavior. And then you talked about violence. I would like to remind to our participants that our Women's Committee proclaimed in Paris in 2022 the Charter on Fundamental Principles regarding access to justice for women victims of violence, which has been signed up until now by 40 bar associations from different parts of the world. If you're interested into working with us on the implementation of this charter, you are kindly requested to join the UIA and the Women's Committee, and you're most welcome to join our efforts in order to provide the help needed by women victims of violence. Merci encore une fois, Madame Charlot. Et je passe à notre seconde oratrice. Our next speaker is Lisa Sam Women. She's joining us from Singapore. She's the president of the Law Society of Singapore. Lisa was called to the English bar as a barrister in 1996 and admitted as an advocate and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Singapore in 1997. She's a member of the Honorable Society of the Inner Temple. She began her legal career in large and medium-sized law firms before establishing her law practice in 2004, and her areas of practice include corporate law, family law, commercial law, and general litigation. In addition to her legal practice, Lisa served also as a mediator with the Singapore Mediation Center, the Singapore Courts, and under the Law Society of Singapore's mediation scheme. Lisa has held leadership roles in the profession. She was elected Vice President of the Law Society of Singapore from 2021 to 2023, and currently serves as its president, having been elected in 2024 and re-elected in 2025. She's also a member of the Executive Committee of Law Asia for the term 2024-2025. Very impressive. I can see her, Lisa. Very impressive. Thank you so much for being with us today. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much.
Lisa,
yeah.
Yes, thank you so much for being with us.
Uh,
Please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, can I have the slides up? Thank you. Okay, I'll just go. So, distinguished colleagues, President Carlos and Moderator Elizabeth, and fellow bar leaders and friends, I'm the President of the Law Society of Singapore. It is an honor to join you today at this important gathering of women leaders of the bar. I bring warm greetings from Singapore. Just some information about the Law Society of Singapore. So, the Law Society is the national bar in Singapore and has been in existence for 58 years, just 2 years short of the Singapore independence. For me, as a female president, I'm the third, and probably in the last 20 years, there were male presidents, and so I broke the tradition, being the third female president. I'm very glad to be here because I think this women leaders of the Bar Day is a celebration of women in leadership and also a powerful platform for reflection and solidarity. Being in a company of bar leaders from various countries is a very timely reminder that our challenges and aspirations as women lawyers transcend geographical boundaries. Next slide. Okay, so the core message is that women in leadership, as the legal profession is often described as a guardian of justice, the takeaway must be that the justice cannot fully be realized if half of our profession's talent, i.e. the women, are underrepresented in leadership. So across the world, women are actually graduating from law schools in equal or greater numbers than men. However, the pipeline narrows when it comes to partnership, judicial or bar leader roles. As women leaders, we must not only walk through the doors that were hard-won by those before us, but I think we should also hold these doors open for others. So leadership is not about position alone. It's about creating pathways, mentoring, and reshaping cultures so that future generations will not have to fight the same battles. Next slide. So I give some information regarding the development of the legal women in the legal fraternity. So Singapore used to be a part of a street settlement, and the first female barrister that was caught in Hong Kong, and third Malayan, we used to be part of Malayan also, Chinese woman to qualify as a barrister in England was in 1867. In 1929, we had our first female lawyer admitted to the bar in the street settlement. So street settlement is actually part of Malaysia and Singapore that were part of a street, and they were coined as street settlement. In 1966, we had our first women appointed to a district judge in Singapore, as a district judge in Singapore in the Singapore courts. And 1967 was when the Law Society of Singapore was formed. In 1968, we had the first female appointed as the dean of our Singapore University of Singapore Law Faculty. And 1979, we had our first elected president of the Law Society of Singapore. And in 1994, we had our first High Court female judge of the Supreme Court, and women in our courts were allowed to put on trousers when they appear in court. In 1998, the first 3 women were appointed as senior counsels, much like the concept of King's Counsel in London. And the 2016 was the first female appointment to the permanent judge of the appeal. Next slide. So the current landscape for female lawyers is reflected as here. In Singapore, our junior, middle, and senior categories are divided in this manner. So in general, there is an overall increase in all levels of representation, except that there was a slight dip in 2022. And next slide. The current landscape for Singapore is that the representation for junior is actually fairly evened. Same for the middle, but when it comes to senior category, it drops a lot. I think a lot of them tend to fall off the practice track because they have taken on in-house roles, or maybe they have decided to take a break from practice. Next slide. In Singapore, we celebrate women's achievements. So we have a Singapore Women's Hall of Fame. And in this Singapore Women's Hall of Fame, obviously, women with a legal background have been inducted into this Singapore Women's Hall of Fame. And they are successful women who have reached leadership positions through their skills, abilities, and dedication. So you will see there are judges, the first female president of the Republic of Singapore, You have activists, you have politicians and pioneers, and even in sports. Next slide. So why is it important for us to celebrate the achievements of women? I think such celebration of their success paves the way for future generation. And these women serve as role models for aspiring women in the legal profession. This success also aligns with Singapore's emphasis on meritocracy. So Singapore is actually a small city-state, quite well known for its economic development and efficient governance. One of the key aspects that have contributed to Singapore's success is the strong emphasis on meritocracy. Okay, next slide. Personally, for me, as a leader, my experience about leadership is about perspective that you bring to the table and your willingness to serve and the courage to step into spaces that are available for you to take the lead. Before taking on these leadership roles, I often do wonder, am I really suitable to be a leader? Is there truly a space for me to lead? Not just as a lawyer, but also from a person practicing from a smaller firm with competing responsibilities and a fairly distinct leadership style. So I'm quite a straight talker. And am I suitable to take leadership? To my personal experience is that mentors who are part of my life made all the difference. While women are in role models for leadership aspirations, it was actually for me a personal experience for men in the profession who took the initiative to nudge me forward. They encouraged me to step up as a woman in leadership, and they also emphasized the fact that as a woman and coming from a different background, I offer valuable perspective, not just to the people I know, but to many more that I probably would not know in my lifetime. So this encouragement reminded me that leadership is about bringing your perspective, the willingness to serve, and the courage to step into uncomfortable places that develop the personal growth of others. So next slide. So at the Law Society of Singapore, we have some Singapore initiatives. We work on several fronts to make leadership more inclusive. So one of the things we roll out was mentorship and sponsorship of younger women lawyers to help them thrive in advocacy and leadership. We also have work-life balance initiatives that address the pressures that disproportionately affect women in the profession, and partnerships with international bar associations to strengthen global solidarity on gender equality and inclusion, and that would include the UIA. And these efforts are still evolving, but they remind us that systemic change requires both institutional commitment and personal courage. Okay, next slide. Singapore's emphasis on merit has always been based on defining our society and governance since independence. So in Singapore, for education, every student has access to quality schooling regardless of background and advancements. The civil service recruitment are also determined by ability. Same for housing and government resources and scholarships. They are all distributed according to needs and contribution and not priority or privilege. So this commitment to meritocracy has been central to Singapore's transformation to where we are today. And this is also deeply embedded in our legal profession. So women who have risen to leadership, whether as judges, senior counsel, bar leaders, have to do so on the strength of their skills and achievements. But we must also be honest that meritocracy only works if the playing field is genuinely level. So unconscious bias, structural barriers, work-life pressures hold women back, then talent is lost. So true meritocracy means not only rewarding excellence, but also removing the obstacles that prevent excellence from being seen. Okay, so next slide. The Singapore's women representation in politics, judiciary, and corporate boards is, however, not very significant. I think this is probably a feature also in Asian countries. While the number of women participating in politics has progressively increased, there are currently only 27 women parliamentarians out of the total of 93 elected members. The gender ratio in the state courts, which is the lower courts, is about 50-50, but when it goes to the Supreme Court, only 25% of the judges are female. The women's share of the directorships among top 100 companies in Singapore is at 21.5%, and it's still generally lower than the average 28% calculated across a pool of 5 comparable developed markets comprising of Australia, Hong Kong, London, Tokyo, and the US. So some institutions have adopted a gender quota approach to address the underrepresentation. Next slide. So what is gender quota? Gender quota is the setting of a specific target for the representation of a particular gender in the context of politics, corporate boards, or public institutions. And the question is, should organizations be compelled to assign board seats based on a particular group, or should we let organizations that harbor biases learn from their own actions and possibly fail by depriving themselves of the talent in women? In Singapore, I think our approach has always been more like quotas actually undermine the principle of meritocracy and women empowerment. Okay, this is because making it a quota might lead to the perception that women on boards are there solely because of their gender rather than their skills and qualifications. And some questions may be asked, such as, do quotas really address the root causes of gender inequality or inadvertently reinforce biasness? So next slide. What we want to do is to encourage balanced success. Okay, so actual progress should be achieved through acknowledging women's abilities and achievements rather than creating special provisions. So next slide. So how can women redefine leadership? Okay, our role as women leaders is not just to represent, but to redefine, and that's how I look at it. We redefine leadership by showing that empathy and inclusion are strengths and not weaknesses. We redefine it by balancing resilience with vulnerability, demonstrating that authenticity fosters trust. We also redefine it because mentoring. Each time we support another woman, we change the profession for the better. And we also can consider redefining it by looking outwards, ensuring that our leadership brings justice not just to lawyers, but to clients and communities who need our voices the most. Next slide. So perhaps balancing advancement without disadvantage is to encourage a holistic approach that recognizes the importance of inclusive policies for all genders and identities. So we should try to avoid reverse discrimination, as shown on this slide, where it actually works towards fostering a healthy and inclusive work culture. We can consider also potential negative outcomes. So as a women leader, you should consider negative outcomes for men if a disproportionate focus is placed on gender-based initiatives. And also as a women leader, we should also strive for equal opportunities. So we create a workplace where both men and women have equal opportunities to excel, contribute, and be recognized for their achievements. Next slide. So that brings us to the concept of inclusivity. So the ultimate goal is where everyone has the opportunity to succeed, and as individuals of all backgrounds get a balanced and fair approach in creating sustainable change. And next slide. So sometimes I think women in leadership is a good opportunity to emphasize certain concepts such as inclusivity beyond gender lines. So on some occasions, because I'm a female president, it was easier for me to speak credibly about the need for fairness that transcends gender. I think it's important to project the image that even as a woman in leadership, it is not just about advancing women, but also about ensuring that all members of the profession, men or women alike, feel respected, safe, and protected, and that a women leader can deliver that to everyone. Next slide. Okay, so on this part, I just want to share something very that I have done. So what I've done when I was the president is I've personally pushed for a gender-neutral workplace bullying and harassment policy for the profession. I think it is important to send a message that this policy does not grant any privilege to one group over another. It protects the most vulnerable, regardless of gender, seniority, or position. But at the same time, being a female president, it allows me to highlight the unique perspective of women in leadership, such as work-life integration, unconscious bias, which is what I meant by tokenism, and the subtler ways of women's voices that are sometimes overlooked. These are not necessarily highlighted, but if articulated and understood well, actually can be very effective in allowing people to see it from a different way of accepting leadership. So to me, this is the essence of leadership. Do the right thing, even when it's very difficult, and ensure that justice and dignity are upheld for all. Okay. So I think one of the biggest challenge for women is getting encouragement to answer the call to lead. So many women hesitate when they're asked to take leadership roles. There are like many questions of self-doubt. Am I ready? Am I good enough? Will I be supported? So my encouragement to any of you out there thinking about whether you should step up is when you're asked to lead, it's often because others have seen in you what you may not have seen in yourself. Leadership is not about being perfect, it's about being willing to take the role. For me, the turning point was realizing that leadership was not just about representing my immediate circle, it was about giving people a perspective and inspiration to want to lead when they are ready. So it's actually a process of self-discovery that applies to every one of us. To our younger counterparts, my advice is not to hold back because you think your firm is too small, your profile is too modest, or your path is too different. When the opportunity comes, say yes. The profession needs leaders from every background, regardless of practice size or life experience. And how do you know whether you are being called to take leadership? When you feel a strong pull to solve a problem where others tend to avoid, that may be your calling. Or when you see your younger lawyers or people looking to you for guidance, that is also a form of calling. Or when you see an easy solution to a nagging issue and that solution can make a substantial difference or could greatly enhance a segment of that community, that is a form of calling. And leadership is rarely comfortable. It is always purposeful. So when we step forward, we show the next generation that they can and must do the same. So consider taking the view that your abilities are capable of infinite development. You want to see how good you can become. To do that, you need to challenge your limits and learn how to step outside of your comfort zone. And growth often stems from undertaking something challenging. And when things are difficult, they are often unpleasant and uncomfortable, which then means that growth is uncomfortable. Okay. So next slide. So in conclusion, I would summarize that this is a call to action. Let's treat today not as a celebration, but as a commitment to the future. It's a commitment to mentor the next generation, to speak up against bias, and to building stronger bridges across jurisdiction. If we succeed, leadership by women will no longer be seen as exceptional, but as a natural part of the landscape. And may the collective strength of women leaders of the bar continue to transform our profession so that justice is not done, but done with womanly wisdom and courage, and of course with the style and manner of leadership much valued by women. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I hope that, yes, we will be there. Leadership by women will be natural. This is what you're working for. And this is what you have said. And this is your and our commitment and the UIA commitment also. So you said about that it's about the perspective brought, the willingness to serve, the courage to step into action, and then it's not about being perfect. This is very important what you said also for the young generation. You must not wait until you are perfect to become a leader. You have to challenge, to dare to challenge and to jump when the opportunity is here. So leadership is not about being perfect, but about being willing. And I would add about to dare to go there, to believe, to have confidence in your abilities, even if you are not perfect yet. And yes, let's work all together, join our efforts so that leadership by women becomes natural, not an exception. Thank you very much for your presentation. Our next speaker now is Ana Maria Cudish Castello, President of the Mexican Bar Association. She's joining us from Mexico. Maria Cudish Castello holds a bachelor's degree in law from Anahuac University, where she graduated with honors. She has a master's degree in family law from the Institute of Higher Studies in Legal Sciences, which is now Tepantlato University. She's a private mediator, number 002, rectified for the fourth time by the Supreme Court, recertified for the fourth time by the Supreme Court of Justice of Mexico City. She founded her own law firm specializing in family litigation and mediation in 2002, and is currently the sole administrator of her law firm, with over 35 years of experience and 20 independent national practice. She has been a speaker at various national and international forums and has been appointed as an expert on family matters abroad. She has been an active member of the Mexican Bar Association since 2001, and she acted as member of its board of the for 8 years, where she co-opted the Equality and Gender Commission. In 2019, she was appointed vice president, and now she's the president of the Mexican Bar Association. Ana Maria Cudish Castello, thank you for being with us today. It's joining us from Mexico, where it's in the morning now. And the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Well, I thank you, the UIA, for taking me into consideration for these women leaders of the Bar Day. I greet everybody that is listening to us. I am very honored to share this panel with such wonderful women, and I thank them for sharing with their slides everything they have done. I did not make any slides. I decided to talk to you this way. I hope I won't bother you much. I can tell you that I am the second woman president of the Mexican Bar Association that has been going for 100 years. We have 9,000 people that belong to the Mexican Bar, as in Mexico, it is not mandatory to belong to a bar in order to go to court or to be a lawyer in our country. So being in a bar is absolutely voluntary. And so to have a legal continuous education and to have an ethical code and also to do pro bono work is something that we do voluntarily, and not all the lawyers have to be in a bar. So I am very honored to be the second woman being president of the bar, and I can tell you that I could do this because I got the help and support of the men of my association, because from the 9,000 people that belong to the bar, 8,000 are men and 1,000 are women. So we are not the majority of the people in our bar. Of course, men are more than us, considering that now we are many women, but as you know, women have many things to do. So they don't have the time to belong to the bar and work for the bar as much as men. Our first woman president was Maria Asunción Sandoval Olaez, and she got approved to be a lawyer in 1898. So it's been a long time that we have had a first woman lawyer in our country, and she not only opened the doors for women to accede to education and being lawyers, that was something only to men, but she also was a woman and lawyer that defended women and vulnerable people in our country. So she really opened a bridge to all the women in our country to study law and being in a law school. And so the situation now for the lawyers in Mexico is very complicated. Not complicated only for the fact that we are less women than men. Of course, in the universities, we are now half and half. When I studied, that was 40 years ago, we were only 13 women in the law school and 45 men. So we were less women than men, but of course, all the women finished and all the men did. So now it is 50-50 for women and men to be in law schools. And the situation for the Mexican profession in law is now very complicated because we are now having judges and ministers of the court that are elected by the people. And from 130 million people that live in our country, only 13% voted for these new judges and new ministers in the federal and in the courts that we have now. So starting September the 1st, we are now learning how to deal with these new judges that have no experience, and we are going to see how this is going to go on. We are very worried about our constitutional matters because this division of powers that we had very clear before, now we don't know what is going to happen, and this has threatened all us lawyers on that. And no matter what, we love our profession and we are working for everybody, and we will continue to honor our profession and honor all the people that study on them. And we will be very happy to receive you all in Guadalajara in our Congress. I will be very pleased to know each of you that are in this Zoom, and of course, know my colleagues that are with me in this panel in our Congress in Guadalajara. We will be so honored and so pleased to have you all, greeting everybody, and of course sharing tequilas and margaritas that we will have for sure after our conferences. But anyways, it is now something new that we don't know. We have to open ourselves and understand that law changes and that the way of being a lawyer changes. And so we have to adapt on what is going to come. Me as a family lawyer, I know that working with people and working with families is not like having a document and it's 2 and 2 is 4. Working with people is something complicated because everybody has their own mind. And so we will have to adapt in this new situation that is being living in our countries. What is my personal experience in all of this in order to become president of the Mexican Bar Association? I started working at 20 years old when I was still in law school. And in the law firm that I got a job, I was the only woman in there. And so I had to be friends of all the men that were working with me in order to belong. And of course, at that time, I'm talking about when I was 20, I am now 65. We had to disguise as a lawyer and we had to go in a suit, just like the men. And instead of a tie, we wear a scarf in order to belong and in order to go to the hearings and in order to see and look like a lawyer. Thank God now we can dress with a dress, with flowers, with high heels, and we can be woman lawyers and see and look as woman lawyers. We don't have to look like men as it was before in order to the clients. Now you can give confidence to a client by wearing a dress and looking as a woman and not being disguised as a man. So I think that in these 40 years that have got past, we are now in a different position. Now the men understand that having women in their meetings and in their teams and in their firms is something that we give for a good thing to everybody. So in my personal experience, I had a lot of support of all the men that I worked with, and they were also very pleased when I got encouraged by them and when I got good things for me and for the firm, and they saw that it was very good working with a woman. And of course, after me, other women came into the firm, and other women had the doors open to belong to the team, as they saw it was not that bad in having a woman with them being in court and getting clients. Why I am a family lawyer? Because family law bothers all the men. And of course, as I was the only woman in the firm, everybody that came to have a divorce or a succession because they were fighting with the brothers for the inheritance and all of that, I had the patience to listen to everybody and to hear everybody. And the men like meetings of 15 minutes. They see the contracts, they say what they have to do, how much they are going to earn, and that's it. And I got the patience of listening to everybody for 1 hour and a half, because men cry also as women, of course, when they are getting divorced and when they have when they are losing the best part of their life or the project of a life, because nobody cares of losing the partner or the woman or the husband, but they care of losing the project of life that they have built by their family. So this is why I am a family lawyer, because nobody wanted these family cases going around, because it was bothering for everybody, and you couldn't get the amount of money you wanted of earning as much as you can earn with deed or with a contract that is worth $2 million. So, have a guard and custody and visitation rights and spousal support and alimony was not that attractive at that time. So this is why I am a family lawyer, and this is why I have succeeded so much, because there is not many family lawyers that have this expertise in my country because of what I have told you. What were the difficulties that I have in order to be where I am just now? The difficulties were that I did not have many people to take care of my children, because, of course, I had to be married, I had to be a mother. I have 2 children now. My daughter is 36, my son is 34. They both are professionals. My son is a doctor, ophthalmologist. My daughter is a graphic designer and speaks 5 languages. And they are good children, so they managed having a mother working all day and being a 20-minute mother, but a 20-minute mother that was there for them and that took care of them. And so the difficulties were who was going to take care of my children while I was working, because my husband was a very nice husband, because he allowed me to work. He never said that I could not work or take my time to be a lawyer. But of course, I had to be in the supermarket, taking care of the children, making homework, and running my house. And so I was in 3 different things at the same time. I think everybody knows what it feels that is listening to me, because women do many things at the same time. And so the one that rescued me with this was my mother, which I now honor, because thanks to her that took care of my children, went to pick them up at school while I was in a hearing and things like that, could make me the lawyer that I am now, and could make that I got my own firm. And she was the support that I needed for my children. And therefore, this was the difficulties that I had. The men understood when I had to go with my children and make homeworks and things like that. But I never could say that I was doing homework with my children. I always had to tell my clients that I was in a meeting or that I was doing something else that had to do with my work. I never could reveal the real time that I was spending with my children, because this is not professional to say. I hope that in the future, my daughter can say that she is taking care of the children and making homework, and that she will be free at 5 o'clock in order to attend the clients. I think it is something that we still cannot reveal, even though we are doing it, we cannot reveal it. And for men, it is also something that they will have to take into their lives, because now men should help mothers to take care of the children, and this shouldn't be only our work as it was for myself. I think that young women and young lawyers now will have their husbands and fathers of their children helping them, not because they need to help, but because the children belong to both parties and not only to the women. And we take care always of the grandparents and of our parents and of our children. And this is what makes us to be now where we are more slow, because you have to spend a lot of time with the children and taking care of the adults or of the grandparents of our parents. And so now that I am 65, I can be president of the Mexican Bar, because now I have the time. My children are grown-ups of 36 and 34, and now I have the time to be the president of the Mexican Bar, run my own firm, and so I can understand life better, and I have more time to do it. And one of the threats and one of the things that I want to do is to have more women being in the Mexican Bar and try to have them being involved in the Mexican Bar, even though they are young, and that they can find the time in order to belong to a bar. What is the difficulties also that I have? Well, of course, having a balance between the work and the way of living without having the problem of not earning enough money to have the life that I want to have. What are the opportunities that I have had? Well, that I was taken into consideration by the men of the Mexican Bar, and that I took the challenge of doing what I did and being the second woman president. And I took the challenge of traveling and going all over, and also to have been part of the UIA for a long time, and know that the international law is very important for all of us, and to have all of these connections and to know other colleagues around the world that can support us, and the UIA gives us that. And so it is very important for me and for the Mexican Bar and all the Mexican lawyers to be part of this important international association. What would be my advice for the lawyers, for the young lawyers? Don't take all the job for yourselves. Have other people help you. Have the fathers of the children help you. And don't say that you can do it, even you can do it, because of course we can do everything, but you really need to have the help of other people in order to be more supportive and to have more time for yourselves. And so I think that you really have to love your career. This is something we all love, that your career is very important, that it doesn't matter that you are a lawyer. You can have children. You can take care of your children. Don't take that away from you, because now many young lawyers don't want to have children. They want to have dogs and cats, which is also good. But having children is also very threatening and very in giving you a very good thing in your life. Having people around you and people that don't do whatever you want, because a dog and a cat do whatever you want, and the children don't do whatever you want. So this is something that encourages you to be a better person and gives you the thing that you want to work for somebody and to leave something for somebody. And so I hope that in the future we will have more women presidents in the Mexican Bar Association, more women traveling and being part of the UIA, and sharing all of these things that we have done in our lives. And so I hope to see you all in Guadalajara. It will be a very great pleasure. And I thank you, everybody, for your attention.
Well, thank you so much, Ana Maria. You will see me for sure in Guadalajara, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there and continue this discussion with you. And thank you so much for having talked about one specific aspect of the of women lawyers, which is family and work, and what should a woman lawyer do. And you shared with us your experience in this field. And also thank you for saying, yes, we can have other people help us. We must not be ashamed of that. It will help us to be more performant. Thank you so much.
No, I thank you.
Our next speaker now is Madame la bâtonnière Catherine Blond. She's joining us from France. Maître Catherine Blond is, was the president of the bar during years 2023 and 2024. She's a lawyer in Rennes, in France. She only practices in the two fields where she obtains a specialty title as a specialist in criminal law and a specialist in family law. She was one of the first women in France to receive these qualifications, especially in criminal law, during a period where women were not much recognized. They were not even accepted as having competence in a sphere of activity almost exclusively reserved for their male colleagues. She's a member of the Office of the Bars Conference. She's an ex-member of the National Council of the Bar, which is an institution representing French lawyers with the public authorities and regulating professional conduct. She's an ex-vice president of French Lawyers Trade Union. She's the creator of the Aide Juridique d'Urgence Association and the ex-vice president of the Centre d'information des femmes et des filles. She's member of AID, which is Family Planning Clinic, and of the International Observatory of the Prison. I think she will talk to us more about these functions she had and the work she has been doing and her work as president of the bar in Rennes. Thank you so much for being with us, Maître Blond. The floor is yours. La parole est à vous.
Merci beaucoup à tous et à toutes. Je suis vraiment également très heureuse et honorée de participer à cette conférence. Et j'ai vraiment été frappée par à la fois l'unité et la diversité des témoignages que j'ai entendus, la détermination, mais aussi je suis très sensible à ce qu'a dit Anna Maria sur les sacrifices que parfois nous sommes amenés à consentir en tant que femmes et dont on parle pourtant de moins en moins. Euh, donc j'exerce effectivement à Rennes, c'est en Bretagne, une région à forte identité culturelle, je dirais, et j'ai souhaité pouvoir vous présenter tout d'abord, comme les unes et les autres avaient pu faire, si on peut passer au slide suivant, juste, alors ça c'est ma ville bien sûr, donc je vous la montre, juste quelques indications sur la situation actuelle du barreau de France et d'outre-mer, puisque on remarque une forte féminisation, de plus en plus de femmes accueillies dans les barreaux. C'est très important, dont si on voit la slide suivante, à Rennes, à Barreaux, il y a désormais, donc slide suivante s'il vous plaît, 61% de femmes et 39% d'hommes. Donc c'est très intéressant au 1er janvier 2025 de se demander à la fois si cette représentation forte des femmes dans un barreau peut trouver écho dans des exercices pluriels de nos consoeurs justement par rapport à nos confrères masculins. En même temps qu'on voit que les femmes accèdent de plus en plus en France à la profession, slide suivant, s'il vous plaît. On voit quand même qu'il demeure une très forte différence entre les revenus. Donc, on peut voir ça sur la représentation sur le slide suivant. euh, où les femmes ont des revenus encore très inférieurs à ceux des hommes, pourtant à travail et à compétences égales, ce qui n'est évidemment pas discutable. Si on passe ensuite, voilà, on va pouvoir passer sur celle-là dont je viens de parler rapidement. Et si on passe à la photo suivante, on voit que sur 163 barreaux en France métropolitaine et d'outre-mer, il y a actuellement 60 femmes qui sont bâtonniers, 66 plus exactement au 1er janvier 2025. Nous avons un système qui permet d'avoir un bâtonnier et un vice-bâtonnier, c'est-à-dire une sorte de binôme qui partage les tâches. Et cette notion de vice-bâtonnière nous montre qu'actuellement, il y a 30 femmes sur ces 163 barreaux qui ont accédé à cette fonction aux côtés des bâtonniers. Donc voilà pour les chiffres, ils ne sont jamais inutiles. Euh, on m'a demandé dans votre... Donc, on peut passer, s'il vous plaît, au slide suivant. Quand vous m'avez proposé d'évoquer un parcours, non pas comme particulièrement représentatif, mais pour participer à la discussion avec vous. Comment je suis devenue bâtonnière et de mon expérience, il me semblait qu'il y avait peut-être des choses à tirer sur un plan plus général, puisque moi, je me suis présentée plusieurs fois à ce poste, deux fois précédemment avant d'être élue en 2023. Ça n'était pas nécessairement le fait que je sois une femme. Je ne pense pas qu'aujourd'hui, être une femme soit un obstacle à l'accès à de telles fonctions. Euh, je pense que les femmes n'osent pas, que les femmes, comme le dit Anna Maria, estiment qu'elles doivent partager leur temps parmi de nombreuses priorités, mais il ne me semble pas qu'il y ait une hostilité particulière ou une forme de discrimination à l'égard des femmes. Mais il y a d'autres phénomènes, bien entendu, qui rentrent en jeu. Et pour ce qui me concernait, comme pour d'autres, euh, ce qui m'a permis d'accéder à cette fonction en 2023, après une campagne qui dure à peu près un an. On est désigné 6 mois avant de prendre ces fonctions. C'est probablement la profonde modification de la sociologie du barreau de Rennes, comme du barreau français d'ailleurs. Avec de plus en plus de femmes, on l'a vu, de jeunes femmes, et de plus en plus d'hommes et de femmes jeunes qui intègrent le barreau, qui font ensemble que les aspirations se modifient. Lorsque je me suis présentée la première fois, et la deuxième d'ailleurs, il y a ça de très nombreuses années, euh, j'avais une image qui était considérée comme une image d'engagement politique et à l'égard des droits humains, euh, comme ce qu'on appelait ou ce qu'on nomme encore parfois de manière assez péjorative, comme droits de l'homiste ou militante, dans des barreaux qui souvent s'affirment comme une valeur très importante d'être apolitique pour être au service de tous et toutes. Ce que je ne crois pas, puisque je crois que lorsqu'on est avocat ou avocate, on fait de la politique tous les jours parce qu'on est au cœur de la cité, de l'action sociale. Mais cette conception était peut-être pas du tout avant-gardiste, mais peut-être prématurée au regard de ce qu'étaient mon barreau et mes confrères auparavant. Ce qui a changé aussi, c'est que désormais, alors que ça n'était pas la tradition et que ça peut l'être encore de manière marginale, j'ai souhaité faire une campagne pour afficher ce qu'étaient mes engagements pour notre barreau, avec une véritable communication, alors que j'ai indiqué qu'avant, euh, jusque-là, les choses se faisaient plutôt à bas bruit, comme si il fallait recueillir l'adhésion des confrères et donc des électeurs sur un consensus supposé plutôt que sur des directions et des actions. Donc voilà ce que je veux vous dire. Donc on va passer à l'image suivante, s'il vous plaît. Euh, c'est que les barreaux, et je le vois bien à vous écouter à travers le monde, sont très protéiformes dans leur mode d'exercice, dans leur composition et dans les spécialités, les domaines vers lesquels on souhaite se diriger. Pour moi, c'était absolument essentiel de promouvoir cette diversité. Quand on promeut la diversité et l'accès pour tous à un exercice dans sa plénitude, je pense que c'est aussi comme ça qu'on favorise l'exercice des femmes. On souhaitait être très attentif notamment à la situation des jeunes confrères qui peuvent être collaborateurs au sein des cabinets et qui donc ont besoin d'être protégés parce que certes, le travail est une valeur, mais le respect d'un équilibre et le respect du développement de la clientèle personnelle sont aussi des éléments essentiels, parfois mis à mal dans la réalité, dans la réalité professionnelle. Donc c'était un de mes objectifs en même temps que ça pouvait être un révélateur, et ça le fut d'ailleurs, des situations de harcèlement moral, voire même de comportements sexistes qui donnèrent lieu d'ailleurs pour certains, en tout cas pour situation à la mise en œuvre d'actions disciplinaires, parce que cette révélation, elle pouvait se faire lorsqu'on disait dans votre jeunesse, dans ce que vous voulez faire, vous avez effectivement le droit d'exprimer et d'être écouté si ce respect ne vous est pas apporté. Ce qui était aussi notre objectif, c'est de trouver un respect au sein de l'institution judiciaire avec les magistrats. Les magistrats, dans le parcours des femmes, connaissent à peu près les mêmes situations que les femmes qui sont avocates. Une difficulté d'accéder aux plus hautes fonctions et une représentation en réalité sur laquelle je reviendrai, euh, qui reste encore l'image de la douceur à certains égards et qui semble se laisser supposer que nous ne pourrions pas accéder à des postes de pouvoir dans l'intérêt collectif. Pour moi, à l'égard de la magistrature, je n'ai jamais supposé que euh, la fonction d'avocat était inférieure ou subordonnée à celle de magistrat, parce que les fonctions de juger, les fonctions de défendre doivent s'exercer dans la plus totale égalité. Et parfois, les relations entre les avocats et les magistrats sont complexes, empreintes de déséquilibre, et il nous paraissait donc vraiment essentiel que l'on puisse travailler sur cette question des relations avocat-magistrat qui, sur le territoire français, pas forcément de façon plus prééminente qu'ailleurs, mais marque dans les temps que nous connaissons que la défense en tant que telle, en réalité, dans ce qu'elle apporte, peut être remise en cause, ce qui est une grave préoccupation démocratique. Ce qui était aussi au cœur de notre action, puisqu'elle est évidemment collective, c'était d'investir dans la cité, dans la ville, dans la région, le rôle économique, politique et social de l'avocat dans un barreau assez discret de ce point de vue. Nous avons souhaité établir vraiment des liens très étroits avec les acteurs politiques pour que l'avocat et donc l'accès au droit puisse prendre toute sa place. C'était donc les challenges que je souhaitais porter comme un chef d'orchestre, effectivement, comme l'a dit tout à l'heure Christine, avec d'autres au Conseil de l'ordre à Rennes, compte tenu de la taille du barreau qui dépasse 1000 avocats. 24 membres du Conseil de l'Ordre siègent aux côtés du bâtonnier pour mettre en œuvre ces actions. La convivialité au plan local, bien sûr, mais aussi européen et international me paraissait extrêmement très important. Convivialité, échange, défense des avocats en danger, en accueillant notamment et en soutenant les avocates iraniennes, les confrères turcs qui connaissent actuellement les difficultés que vous connaissez, les avocats tunisiens que nous avons accueillis aussi, pour que, à travers ces événements qui paraissent simplement festifs, il puisse y avoir la conscience de tous et toutes que nous portons les mêmes valeurs et que la solidarité est absolument essentielle. La slide suivante, s'il vous plaît. Euh, je voulais revenir sur un petit débat qui a l'air anecdotique, mais qui en fait a soulevé beaucoup, beaucoup de discussions sur notre territoire et dont Christine Charlot connaît l'existence, pour vous dire que votre initiative dans sa 6e édition est absolument fondamentale. Euh, Nous avons, comme tous et tout, un règlement intérieur national qui fixe les principes déontologiques et leur application pour les avocats. Et il y a quelques mois, l'année dernière, il y a un débat qui avait commencé en 2023, était de savoir si dans le règlement intérieur national, il était possible d'introduire le mot bâtonnière, de le féminiser, et de féminiser le mot avocat. Eh bien, sur cette rédaction qui paraissait d'évidence, il y a pourtant eu un débat national extrêmement vif, parfois échevelé, qui a amené le Conseil national des barreaux à instaurer une consultation nationale sur cette question auprès de tous les ordres. Et pour ma part, j'ai toujours souhaité être nommée bâtonnière, ce qui avait d'ailleurs beaucoup étonné les magistrats qui s'y sont faits depuis, mais j'ai vu que beaucoup de femmes avocates souhaitaient être nommées bâtonniers et avocats pour considérer que l'égalité passait par le vocabulaire et un vocabulaire de genre masculin. Ça n'a pas manqué de m'intéresser profondément parce que je pense que c'est un signe révélateur des efforts que nous avons à faire les uns et les autres. Parce que, bien sûr, les valeurs dont vous avez parlé, Monsieur le Président, la non-discrimination, l'égalité, la diversité, passent d'abord par l'action, mais finalement ensuite, ou en même temps, par les mots. Slide suivant, s'il vous plaît. Non, alors, je vais revenir peut-être sur le précédent parce que, pardon, c'est traduit en anglais. Euh, Dans la situation que nous connaissons, et je ne suis pas du tout pessimiste, mais je pense que il est important de savoir et de se battre pour des objectifs. Aujourd'hui, l'égalité, en quelque sorte, elle est énoncée comme d'évidence, alors qu'à travers les témoignages successifs que nous avons entendus, c'est une aspiration, c'est un but, c'est un devoir quasiment. Ça n'est pas forcément une réalité au quotidien. Et je parlais de représentation tout à l'heure. Lorsque je regarde le barreau français, je constate avec d'autres, bien sûr, que cette égalité d'évidence, il en va autrement d'abord dans l'exercice professionnel, dans les domaines d'activité, puisque en fonction de la représentation dont je parlais tout à l'heure, euh, les femmes, qu'elles le choisissent ou qu'elles y soient contraintes, je n'ai pas nécessairement de réponse à apporter à cela, sont plutôt dédiées dans leur exercice pour un certain nombre à des domaines d'activité que l'on considère effectivement comme des domaines empreint de conciliation nécessaire, de regard bienveillant, de capacité à l'empathie qui seraient spécifiquement des qualités féminines. Ce qui a abouti au fur et à mesure à ce que les femmes se consacrent beaucoup, majoritairement aux droits de la famille, aux droits des enfants, dans la matière qui est la mienne, puisque je suis titulaire de 2 spécialités, je n'exerce que dans ces secteurs-là. Je suis spécialiste en droit pénal et en droit des personnes et du patrimoine. En droit pénal, il y a beaucoup de consoeurs qui défendent les victimes, bien sûr par conviction, mais aussi parce que la représentation qui en a été donnée au fur et à mesure, c'est bien celle de cette forme de sensibilité nécessaire et légitime dans la fonction des femmes. Et d'ailleurs, au début de mon activité, lorsque j'étais sollicitée par des confrères masculins pour travailler à leur côté dans des faits de viol pour des auteurs présumés de viol, ils me disaient toujours, on te fait venir parce que tu es une femme et que donc, tu comprends, ça va cautionner notre position. Il fallait donc une femme pour faire comprendre que finalement, le viol pouvait s'entendre. Je parle évidemment des affaires dans lesquelles euh, la culpabilité était établie et qu'il fallait bien sûr défendre cette personne. Très peu de femmes passent des spécialités en dehors de ces domaines. Et si je parle par exemple, alors je schématise ou je suis réductrice, puisque dans bien d'autres domaines, comme le droit de l'urbanisme par exemple, le droit public, il y a des femmes qui passent les spécialités, mais je constate que pour ce qui concerne le droit économique, le droit qu'on dit des affaires, le droit du numérique et de la technologie, tout le secteur aujourd'hui de l'intelligence artificielle, alors que les femmes sont extrêmement nombreuses à être diplômées à cet égard, pour l'instant, ce sont les hommes qui sont titulaires des spécialités. Et donc, c'est, pour revenir à mon propos initial par rapport à l'accompagnement des jeunes confrères et consoeurs, c'était essentiel et c'est essentiel de faire entendre que à capacité égale, il n'y a pas à se délégitimer. Et c'est ainsi peut-être que je voudrais conclure, euh, s'engager dans une fonction, alors j'entends de leadership, mais en réalité d'aspiration et de désir de pouvoir construire les choses ensemble. Mon programme s'appelait comme ça, Ensemble, et souvent un mot galvaudé et qu'il faut s'efforcer de faire vivre au quotidien. Euh, pour, euh, pour effectivement faire bien cette fonction, qu'on soit un homme ou une femme, il faut être dans l'engagement. Alors bien d'autres disent, n'ayez pas peur de vous engager. C'est très important ce qui a été dit sur le fait que on n'a pas besoin d'être parfait. Bien sûr que non. Il faut d'abord avoir suffisamment de confiance en soi pour se penser légitime. Et les femmes, les jeunes femmes, les femmes, quel que soit leur âge et leur domaine d'exercice, le sont. Les mentalités changent de façon assez démonstrative, mais il faudrait connaître Rennes et la ville pour comprendre ça. Je suis effectivement un exemple de fait qu'une femme qui n'a jamais chez ses convictions euh, et qui avait une façon peut-être très franche et de le dire, a pu finalement travailler en étant acceptée de tous et toutes, y compris les confrères masculins travaillant dans le domaine juridique et du droit des affaires, ce qui n'allait pas de soi au départ. Je pense qu'il n'y a pas de modèle, ni masculin ni féminin. Je pense qu'il y a des inspirations. Voilà, des inspirations que si on se regarde les uns et les autres, les unes et les autres, on apprend que tout est possible. Travailler sur cette modification de la représentation, évidemment, ça ne peut se faire que hommes et femmes côte à côte. Et c'est finalement de manière assez optimiste, je crois, ce qui se fait au quotidien, tant les jeunes générations trouvent, pour revenir à ce que je disais tout à l'heure, l'égalité comme une évidence. Eh bien, cette égalité, elle se construit si on a envie de faire pour les autres, on y réussit très bien et c'est tout ce qui compte. Merci beaucoup.
Merci à vous, Madame la bâtonnière. C'est un exposé très intéressant et très important que vous avez partagé avec nous, basé sur votre expérience personnelle, et vous avez euh, fixé des sortes de guidelines, n'est-ce pas, pour pouvoir atteindre ces positions au sein d'un barreau. Et comme vous l'avez dit, chaque personne a ses propres aspirations et peut-être une inspiration pour les autres. Et c'est pourquoi aujourd'hui et chaque année, nous invitons des personnes, des avocates qui se sont distinguées dans leur barreau parce qu'elles inspirent leurs consoeurs mais aussi les confrères qui soient, surtout les jeunes collègues qui prennent, les jeunes confrères et consoeurs qui voient que tout est possible, mais encore faut-il savoir comment atteindre ces aspirations et que faire pour y parvenir et surtout avoir confiance en soi-même. Et je vous remercie beaucoup pour votre intervention. Donc, I would like just to go back to some major ideas you gave, major points you highlighted. One is still a big problem for women at work, not only in the legal profession, a lower income for equal work. And then the problem for women who do not dare to run for leadership while they should have confidence in themselves, in their abilities. And then what a leader should do by providing support to colleagues in facing some challenges, such as digital technology changes, which is now a must for lawyers, how to deal with that. And this is one of the things that a leader can do within the Bar Association. And then something very important you said, work in order to recognize the lawyer as a key player in the democratic process. That's very important what you said. And I hope that you will join our efforts to get there. Thank you so much again. So now we come to the end of our presentations. I think that Cedarina Manacero was not able to join us. And we will have some questions and answers now. I see that we have 8 questions and answers. No. It's only to say that yes, we had with us Nadine Dosun Sakponour. She says hi to everybody and thank you to everybody. But then I cannot see any questions. Are there any questions, Kalina? I cannot see on my...
Okay, I can see...
Do you see that?
Questions, yeah, if that helps.
Yes, please, Carlo. I cannot see them here.
La première, c'est que signifie pour vous être un leader dans la profession d'avocat aujourd'hui? Deuxième, c'est de Najet Sassi. La deuxième, c'est en quoi la présence de femmes au sein des instances professionnelles a-t-elle contribué à changer l'image de la profession d'avocat? La troisième, quels sont les principaux défis que vous avez rencontrés dans votre parcours en tant que femme avocate et comment les avez-vous surmontés? Do you want me to say these in English? Because they're also in English here. What does it mean to be a leader in the legal profession today? How has the presence of women in professional bodies contributed to changing the image of the legal profession? And what are the main challenges you have faced in your career as a woman lawyer? This is the first set of questions by our colleague Najee Sassi. Then we have Suela Sulkia. What do you think is the most important role women leaders play in today's legal profession? Question mark. What unique challenges do women face in leadership position within the legal field? Some of these may have already been answered by some of the speakers, but let me read them all. Then there's a further one. What advice would you give to young women aspiring to pursue a career in law and become leaders? Après, nous avons Nadine Doussou pour nous. Est-ce qu'il est possible de... Ah non, bon, elle demande de recevoir la communication.
Oui.
Non, oui, non, certainement, on peut envoyer pour email toutes les présentations. Ça c'est logique.
Oui.
Et donc, ça,
Bon.
ce sont les questions. So, these are the questions. Bon.
Yes.
Alors,
Thank you so
I'm
much.
sorry. I think Mrs. Cesarina is here. She is in the webinar.
Well, before we give the floor to Cesarina, I would like to say concerning the questions that they have been already answered by each of our speakers. And for Nadine, all the webinar has been recorded and will be posted on YouTube. You will receive, all the participants will receive the link to watch it on YouTube. If there is still some presentation you need specifically to have, please let me know. We will ask the speaker to send it to you. But all the questions asked were answered already by our speakers and fully answered. Cesarina, êtes-vous avec nous? Cesarina?
Well, no, Cesarina Mana said, oh, here we are.
Yes.
And we have a
Cesarina,
question,
we
I think.
unmute.
Yes, I am here with you since the beginning of the conference.
Okay, good.
We did not see you on the screen, so please go ahead with your presentation. But first, let me introduce you. You are a lawyer at the Italian bar, at the bar of Turin in Italy. Kelina, we cannot see Cesarina. Please, can you see her on the screen? She has been a lawyer at the Italian Torino bar, Turin bar. She was trained in Turin with a degree in public comparative law. She has developed expertise in various areas of law, including equal rights, anti-discrimination law, family law, children law, with a peculiar interest for women victims of domestic violence, among others. Before becoming a lawyer, she followed a PhD program with a special focus about the protection of women's rights between affirmative actions and mainstreaming. Today, as president of Equal Rights Committee, she wants to improve equal rights among male lawyers and female lawyers, but also to improve an inclusive society where the fundamental rights of everybody could be protected. Cesarina, thank you for being with us. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I hope you can listen to me. I followed the conference since the beginning, but I don't know if you can listen to me now.
Yes, we can
Yes.
hear. We can hear.
Okay. I hope you can see my presentations. I prepared it in English and in Spanish. You can read it in Spanish. I will speak English. My distinguished colleagues, it is really a very great honor for me to be here and to have the chance to discuss these important issues with you. The title of my presentation is The First Woman Lawyer in Italy. And you can see in the first slides, you can see the picture of the first woman lawyer. She was Lydia Poet. Second slide, please. Lydia Poet was born in 1855 and died in 1949. She graduated in law in 1881. She was the first woman lawyer who graduated at the university in Turin and who graduated in law in Italy. She was unyielding, curious, very intelligent. She could speak 4 languages. She was studious and very competent. The history, it is very important to note that she was accepted in the Chambers of Lawyers in Turin on August the 9th, 1883. However, she was not allowed to practice until the law was passed in 1920. To note, Italian women magistrates couldn't work as magistrates until 1963, so a long history. How about the situation of Italian lawyers today? There is an important document, census report on the legal profession. The only problem is that it is written only in Italian, so to read it, it is necessary to translate this document. According to this document, based on 2024 data, there are now in Italy 233,260 attorneys, which 124,000 are males and 109,252 are females. So we can see that the percentage is almost half and a half. This number represents a 1.6% decrease of women, especially after the COVID time.
Excuse me, can we please change the slide change, please? Thank you.
The current statistics up to May the 13th, 2025 in Turin, the chambers where I am working, are as follows. There are 6,065 higher court and general attorneys, of which 2,289 are high court attorneys, as we say in Italian, cassazionisti, of which 1,404 are males, but only 885 are females. So we can see that in the highest position, the highest jurisdiction, is still a bit difficult to find women lawyers. There are 3,598 general attorneys, of which 1,400 are males, and which 2,198 are females. I'm going to speak a little bit about my personal experience. Next slide, please. I obtained my professional title in 2003. I immediately started my institutional career with the Equal Rights Commission and then in the Continuing Education Commission. It was very important for me to meet at that time lawyer Emilia Lodigiani, who was the only woman lawyer elected as board member of the chamber, who guided me through this career path. I had the chance to cooperate with lawyers of different generations, learning through their experience, and as trainer to pass them my knowledge in anti-discrimination law, an area of law which was very new at that time. As a trainer, next slide please, I had the opportunity to teach lawyers of all ages anti-discrimination law, which was newly passed at the time, and at the same time learned invaluable knowledge from their professional experiences. Working as an expert member of the Equal Rights Commission at the Judicial Council also gave me the chance to share some of my expertise about gender violence law to the magistrates. This was very important also in my professional field, because at that time also this area of law was not so developed in my country. Now I would like to speak a little bit about my difficulties. Next slide, please. I personally have never felt discriminated against on the ground of being a female. However, I would like to say that has not been the case for many of my female colleagues. Understanding the complexities of the forensic institution in and of itself, my biggest tool was experience, expertise, and, in short, knowledge. It was also very difficult, and I totally agree with Christine and also with the other speakers who underlined this aspect, especially Anna Maria, to finding a work-life balance without compromising income, because you have to dedicate a lot of time to forensic institution, and it is not always easy to dedicate time to dossier and to our legal firms. Anyway, I would like to be positive. So next slide, please. I'd like to speak a little bit about accomplishments, opportunities, and work in progress. First of all, for me, it was very, very interesting to be able to change forensic policies and laws. For example, implementing maternity and paternity leaves for attorneys. That was a very important project. I work in it. We in Turin opened a nursery in the chambers of lawyers to facilitate our working female attorneys that are also moms. We are looking forward to inaugurate a baby parking area by the end of the year, and we are now working a lot to reach this score. We are hoping to expand much more on smart working and further to have much more digitalization of justice and legal firms. In Italy, at the moment, there's an important project about digitalization of criminal justice because civil justice is still digitalized, but criminal justice not yet. At the end, I would like to share some advice, especially to younger generation. I think that our greatest asset is to create network, and more importantly, an intergenerational network. Work on making sure that the gender quota continues throughout all facets of law. Break the existing barriers into male-dominated and lucrative fields of law. For example, we have to try green economy law, commercial law, real estate law, investment law, technology law, and not only to stay in the field of family law or children law. It is very important to enter into these lucrative fields of law. And at the end, I can say that it is very important to overcome cultural prejudices and stereotypes so as to manage cases with a global perspective. Italian society is now a global society. In my town, in Turin, where I live, we have about 1 million inhabitants, and the percentage of people who comes from abroad is 70%. So it is fundamental to go beyond stereotypes so as to manage cases with a new perspective. And at the end, my last advice and my last thought as a woman is and always will be, knowledge is power. I also like to say that in Spanish, because this idiom is very similar to Italian. Mi último consejo y mi último pensamiento como mujer es y será siempre el saber es poder. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cesarina, for this presentation. And you talked about difficulties that the other speakers talked about, mainly finding work-life balance without compromising the income. And then you talked about your accomplishments opening a nursery. It's happening now in France. I think Catherine Blanc knows about it. I don't know if they have it in Rennes, but I know that in Bordeaux they have already a nursery, and maybe in Paris they did it also in the Bar Association. And then your advice, yes, networking, create a network. This is what I think we are trying to do in the UIA within the Women's Committee. We started to work on it. And yes, it should be intergenerational, generational, but also international to make it more productive and break the biases, the cultural stereotypes and prejudices. And this is what we're working on too. Thank you so much for because you talked about all these challenges that we need to address and that women are still facing in the legal profession. I don't know if someone of our speakers would like to add something to what have been said by other speakers. Je disais, Catherine, que elle a parlé des nurseries, des
nurseries.
Oui, voilà, à Turin, mais je sais qu'en France, ça existe. Déjà à Bordeaux,
Oui.
il y en avait une. À Paris, je crois que l'Ordre des avocats de Paris a créé ce passage. Je ne sais pas si vous l'avez déjà.
Dans plusieurs villes, oui.
Oui, donc les choses évoluent pour permettre aux femmes de ne plus avoir à choisir entre la vie de famille et le travail pour pouvoir, n'est-ce pas, s'adonner à leur carrière et ne pas avoir ce sentiment de culpabilité qui parfois les empêche d'aller de l'avant. Et je ne sais pas, donc est-ce que quelqu'un voudrait ajouter quelque chose à ce qui a été dit, commenter ce qui a été dit par l'une des autres, les autres intervenantes? Bon, alors je vois que Nadine is asking again to have the presentations, the slides, to send it by emails. Do you accept that we send, do you agree that we sent your presentations, your slides to the participants in this webinar? Lisa, Anna Maria, Christine,
No problem.
Catherine,
Yes.
Césarina, Catherine, vous
Of
acquiez
course,
que,
of course.
voilà.
Of course.
Voilà. Donc, Kelina, qui s'occupe du déroulement de cette session, va faire le nécessaire à cet égard. Et voilà, Nadine, on répond à votre question et vous allez recevoir, ainsi que les autres participants à cette session de travail, les interventions, les slides des oratrices que nous avons eu le plaisir et l'honneur de recevoir aujourd'hui. Donc, voilà une 6e édition qui a été fructueuse. Et j'ai eu l'honneur également aujourd'hui, pour la 6e fois consécutive, d'accueillir des femmes qui ont donné beaucoup pour la promotion du rôle et du statut des femmes dans la profession d'avocat et partant dans toutes les professions. I was saying that I'm really proud and honored that I have received today in the 6th edition inspirational women, outstanding women who made a lot of things, who participated in advancing the role of women in the legal profession, but also by doing so in other professions. Thank you so much for having been with us. Je remercie notre président Carlo Mastellon. Je remercie Catherine Long, Christine Charlot. Thank you, Anna Maria. Thank you, Lisa. Cesarina, thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing you all soon in person, maybe in Guadalajara, as Anna Maria said.
Yes.
And in Guadalajara, we have a very interesting session on the Thursday, 30 October. You are all invited to attend. And thank you again, and see you soon. And I would like to thank
Thank you.
Colette and Kelina.
Bye.
Merci
Bye,
beaucoup. À
everyone.
bientôt. Au
Bye.
revoir.
Bye bye.